gig was in 2015.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
This is 10 years of
this is 10 years. So I'm going into my 11th currently.
Yes. That's why I wanted to talk to you.
Yes. So this is 10 years and I only started making sustainable money in maybe 21 or 22.
Really?
Yeah. Like when I say sustainable
money, the money that you could live on.
I'm able to, exactly. Because, because you have to understand that prior to that, I was also working, I was a presenter.
Yes, at Spice TV.
For Spice TV for 7 years.
Yeah.
Which I was
doing both.
Yeah, doing both because I wasn't able to stand on my own. So, the first few years, and you know that Nollywood is something that you have to give attention to. But it's hard to give something attention when you are not making money to live on from Nollywood. So it was a thing where, I would act, but after maybe you tell me that, oh, okay, this is giving you mileage, or you're giving my 5,000 naira that wasn't able to do anything, I'll just maybe go and face my real job for a stretch of time.
Right.
And then when I have like a bit of time again, what's happening here? Is anything doing better?
Right.
We do then, just try, balance that out. And then, it kept happening up until 21.
Right.
In which at 21, when I got to 2021, I literally was on the verge like, okay, you know what? This is maybe not happening. When you give your time, because I had thought that, okay, I'll come to Lagos. I'll give this entertainment space, I'll give it 3 years, because, when you're, young, thinking that you can come in, that, I'm going to crack this industry very quickly. You know what I mean? Yes. So I kind of said, I'm going to give you 3 years. Yeah. 3 years came and went, like, struggle. Okay, let's give it another extra one, extra 2, extra 3. So when I got to year 7, I thought to myself, like, you know what? Let's just leave this country because this acting, you have tried.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got to that point. I literally was on the precipice. So like, you've tried. Because I gave you what I had to offer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're trying, also, when you're not sustaining yourself off of something that you think you love or that you love, it sort of dwindles the love.
Yes.
For me.
Yes.
The passion is there.
Yes.
But the love, because love don't put food on the table.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I was literally on thinking, I think I was even prepping up until I got a call. And I think that call was even when I got the call, it was for Smart Money Woman.
Okay.
That's the thing that really like tipped some things in my favor, right? When I got the call and I went for the read, like I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't like thinking too much about it. I just thought, okay, let's just go for it. You know what I mean? Because prior to that, I'd been doing like sub-lead. I did some lead roles and some things as well. But when I got Smart Money Woman and I did the project with Osas, it came from the book and everything. When I did it, I shot it. And at the time, that was the highest money I'd been paid. So you have to imagine that at this point, I was at a point where, okay, I'm thinking, okay, you know what, let me just look forward to doing. And then somebody calls me and then offers me like, maybe in retrospect, it wasn't like a lot, but for me at the time, it was like, oh, wow. So maybe this is the universe saying something, right? And anyway, the money was gone like that, but I did the project.
Because there were things pending.
Yeah, of course. Listen, I'm not even shy. It was a crazy time. But nobody would know because I'm not that kind of person. So when that money came and the project came out, it first went, I don't know if you know, but it first went on DSTV.
Yes. Well, I didn't know that. It first went on DSTV.
Yeah, it did a DSTV run.
Oh, right.
And the DSTV run, it was nice. But people will now look, oh, okay. Prior to that, I'd done some DSTV shows as well. I'd done like Forbidden, I'd done like some other things in the end. So people look.
You were in Tinsel too, weren't you?
Yes, I was in Tinsel. I was in, what's the name of the other one? Tinsel Forbidden.
Jimmy.
Not Jimmy. Okay, Rihanna was after.
Yes,
it was after. Rihanna was after. So when I was shooting, what's it called? Smart Money Woman, I also my mental space, because I told you I got into a place where it was like a lot of things were not going right for me. So I was thinking, you know what, let's just call it quits. So I didn't think I did anything. When that came out on Netflix, that was like a changing moment for me.
What exactly changed?
It just changed the calls, the conversations. you know.
And the number of conversations.
Yeah, and the number of conversations, in most things, because I mean, I was male lead on a Netflix show, and you know, at the time, Netflix was new, and I was one of the first series that went on Netflix, and I was lead, male lead. You know, Andre Vibes.
Yes, sure.
Yes, he produced for Ayastar
Yes,
and
sure,
the rest
sure,
of them. We used to live close to each other back in Benin. He's produced a song for me as early as 2000 and I'm going to say 9.
I love it.
Or 8 or wherever. So it's one of the first things I discovered I could do.
Right.
And I was doing that thinking, and then how I planned my life to go, you know, when I was thinking about the future or whatever, in my head it was going to be in this order: music, movies, and presenting.
So how did the plan change?
When I moved to Lagos, I thought, okay, pursue everything simultaneously.
Right.
And that's how I was just started, because when I was after law school, I had a gig when I was working in a radio station in Abuja.
Okay.
Because that's also one of the things that I did, because it was I just wanted to be in the entertainment space in one way, shape, or form. So I was always trying to do things. So I did like a 4-month stints in a radio. So when I came here, I started applying for presenting gigs, because you know, that was the thing that would actually hold you down in terms of income.
Right.
Because it was a steady job regardless. It wasn't like maybe acting that was going to be like, before you break in, and you know, it's not a salary.
Yeah, and it's not even at you. You have to wait to be called.
Exactly. The first thing that clicked for me was that I got shout out to Uncle Tajuddin Adikbetu.
Right, yeah.
That is the first person that saw me and gave me an opportunity to be a presenter.
Yeah.
He was very kind to me. So that happened when, again, I've been in Lagos for a bit. I was looking for opportunities to just do something. And I heard that, Sound City, you know, I was watching Adams.
Right, VJ Adams.
Moet, you know, what was happening. So I went, my uncle had his friend who was going there. And I just tagged along. And she's like, go into the building and see what happens. And so I went into the building, I went to the receptionist, I'm like, can I see the manager of this place?
That's what you did?
Yeah. I mean, what did I have to lose now? I'm just a boy from Benin. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any sort of leg or connection. I was just going. I legit made a list of places to go, and I was knocking them off one by one.
I love that.
Yeah. And I was knocking them off one by one. So I went into Sound City office, and I went there, like, excuse me, can I see? And she's like, do you have an appointment? I'm like, no. And she's like, I'm sorry if you don't have an appointment. And all of a sudden, I see this man walking in.
Right.
I don't know who he is, but he just has an air of authority. He looks like
the manager.
He looks like somebody. Yes. You know what I mean? And I look at him, and I look at the reception who is still trying. But when he comes, he's like, "Oh, good day, sir." And I'm greeting like, "Good afternoon, sir." I'm like, "Sir, please, can I talk to you?" And he's, what do you want?
Yeah.
I'm like, "Sir, I'm doing I'm trying to be this, be that." And he looked at me, and at them I had one wild hair. Okay. And he was wild, and he looked at me and like, "You have an interesting look." I had a very wild beard.
Really, right.
Yeah, and he looked at me and said, "You have an interesting look." And he tells me, okay. He tells somebody to go bring like a script. Okay. And he tells me that we'll do a screen test.
Right.
And I did a screen test. And he told me to come back the next day and do a screen test. And I did another screen test. And he told me that I have potential and that he would, I should intern. And that's what I did. So I interned.
So you started as an intern?
Yes, so I interned. And then after, in less than a year, I was employed. Right. The full-time employment as a presenter for Spice TV. And at the time, I wanted to be a presenter for Sound City, yes. Not Spice TV. But Spice TV didn't have a male presenter, I think, so they just shoved me into Spice TV. So that's how my entertainment career started. That is so that's what took off first. That's what happened for me first. Again, remember I said I was going to rap, act, and do.
Yes, and so that now started.
Yes, just flipped it to the other side. So the presenting went off first. So I was presenting, and during this time, I started going for auditions. That was a bit harder, auditions. Yes, so I wasn't getting any callbacks, and at the time, I might have been terrible at auditions because, again, like I'm not very outgoing. So during auditions, I would sweat, I would shake, I would maybe not be able to. So I wasn't getting any sort of like decent gigs or callbacks.
Right.
Then for music, when I came to Lagos as well, I had dropped, the year was 2015. At this, I'd gotten my job at Spice TV, and I had gotten my first gig that never came out. But the next year was 2016. So me and my producer, whom I met in law school, K Fresh Kayode, he produced a full-length project for me.
Okay.
I think 14 tracks or so.
Okay.
But then you realize that this music
It requires capital.
Intensive, even at the time, in not just capital, intensive capital. And again, like I said, what did I have?
Right,
Oh no,
right.
I was still. My father was still sending me money to help my life because Lagos was showing me shaggy. I was living in ENUGU State at the time, as a matter of fact, not
Really?
Lagos.
Right.
Lagos was showing me proper shaggy. So what did I know what to do? But
You know when people say this shaggy thing in Lagos, break it down. What does shaggy mean?
okay, shaggy for me personally is I am a first generation entertainer in my family. My parents are in academia.
Right. Yes.
My parents are in academia.
Yes. And I said your dad didn't really support you.
Exactly. At first.
Yeah.
At first, you know what I mean? At first, my father is cool now. He's the greatest.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at first, he didn't understand it. And that was my fault because I never really expressed to him what I wanted to do and what I wanted to become. My mother already knew.
Right.
But my father didn't. So when I just got up in Benin one day, I just said, I'm going to Lagos. I said, for what? He said, and I said, oh, don't worry, I'm just to visit. I'll be back.
But you knew you were not going to be back.
No, for sure. But just to visit, because he had even wanted me to maybe further my education or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, no. Let me
just visit and
let
come.
me see what's going on.
Let
Me see what's going on in Lagos. So I go to Lagos, and this is me going to Lagos. It was really impromptu. I wake up a day before, and I'm thinking it's either because I did my law school and my service and did some practice in Abuja.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, and I just experienced the Abuja entertainment scenario. This was how many years ago? I don't know when this was. Maybe, I don't know. But Abuja wasn't like a hub.
Yeah, I get you.
I just felt like I needed to be where the real players are.
Wow.
And so I came to Lagos. And coming to Lagos without any plan whatsoever is a bad idea. Yeah, it's a bad idea. It's a terrible idea.
So you had no plan when you were coming to Lagos?
I didn't have a plan. I didn't have...
But at least you had where you were going to stay.
We're going to get there.
Okay.
So the plan is that, again, like I told you what I wanted to be. The plan is that I know what I want to be.
Yes.
I had no idea how to achieve those individual goals.
Okay.
I just knew that I hear that Lagos is the place to be if you want to be this certain kind of person. And so I carried my things. They gave me money for transport. I went. Shout out to my dad because I might have taken like a few notes out of his wallet too. That's my guy.
Right.
I love him so much because he never knew how much those notes helped me in those times. So what had happened, I don't think I've ever told this story before on air. So what had happened is that when I came to Lagos, I have some cousins scattered around Lagos. But, you know, when you're trying to be independent, you know, and, you know, you don't want to just go and intrude on people's lives. So my cousin, Ose, that's my brother, shout out Ose. I'm always giving like mini shout outs in. Yeah, so my auntie had a building in Ogun State that wasn't completely done. It wasn't completely done, meaning that it didn't have like nets. It didn't have, it wasn't painted, it wasn't, it was just a house that...
So those Ikorodu, Mowe
exactly,
houses.
it was in Mowe.
Right.
It was in Mowe.
Right. Okay, so I saw in this headline about uncompleted video. I thought it was a metaphor. So
no, I'm not even kidding. No, it was like it's real stories. Like, I've never spoken about it at length. Maybe I might have mentioned it, but so when I was coming, I called my cousin.
Okay.
Alpha, where you did?
Right.
And my cousin at this time said, "Oh, I did Ogun State too. We did Mowe. Alpha, you go," and he gives me the coordinates and so I arrive at the place and I look.
Where is the house?
Now here we go, D. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. Say you don't put bed for inside the house.
I love it. What is the house if not bed and toilet?
So we just the manager now. There was no fridge. No, we just had a bed. Right. And when it was night, we had these net things. These nets things.
Pull it on the...
Because there were no nets in the windows.
Yes,
it had doors,
yeah,
but it was just a carcass of a house. And that's where we stayed.
Wow.
And because that's where we stayed for almost a year. My cousin then got a job.
Okay.
And moved closer. So he went to stay with his friend.
Right.
In Yaba.
Right.
So I was left alone in the Ogun State house.
Right.
And they stole our gen because there was no connecting light. I swear to God. There was no, the light didn't have, the house didn't have
electricity yes,
connected.
Yes. I mean, we don't have nets. The electricity they're talking about.
So we had a gen. Right. And because every morning I would bust
go so someone just thought they should help you keep it.
So realty. So one day because again, like when I say this in Shige, it's not like where I'm coming from. Again, it's not like, oh, I'm not going to say I came from the trenches, blah blah blah. Nah, but Lagos put me in the trenches. For real, right. for real.
Right.
You know, so how I moved out of that house was when one day I think my father just thought to himself that because we had not been maybe seeing eye to eye, so to speak. It's not like we were, but he wasn't very happy with me.
Your choice.
And understandable because I didn't let him know where I was at rather. And where I was going. Mm-hmm. So one day he just woke up and came to Lagos. Because my father is a very present father. Right. He wants to know what was happening with you, angry or not. So he just woke up one day and I think from encouragement from my mom, he just came to Lagos to see his son. And
you were staying down completely with that generator now?
I was. Right. So, and he went to my cousin's house.
Yes.
And I went to meet him there as a different cousin this time. And we went back to the house. And he just looked and I was like, oh, so this is where you're staying?
Right.
I was like, yes, sir. And my father just picked up the phone and made a call to one of his cousins. Like his cousin, that's my uncle, one of my uncles that, at the time, I didn't have access to. He just called and was like, okay, and sure you live for Ireland now. Where you live? I bet my boyfriend can stay with you. Wow. And that was how the next day I packed up things and I moved to the island. It was that simple.
Yeah.
It was that simple. So I mean, I guess maybe the suffering was self-inflicted. Maybe.
Speaking about being a fixture of the culture, then we woke up one morning and then you were on Real Housewives as Chioma Goodhair's boyfriend. So we are not sure.
Oh my!
I know that I was arguing because me, I'm very naive. So I'm talking about but so this person didn't know you. I'm like, no, that's an actor. He says I've seen him. I'm like, he says no, it must be they just do this in a reality show.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not possible. How can they just do this in a reality show? Yeah. So there we are having arguments about your life.
It happens
in my apartment.
Yeah.
Was that a real moment or a TV moment?
I mean, we were talking.
Right.
It was a mix of both.
Right.
Well, we were talking. Chioma, we went to law school together for real.
Why do you know that?
Yeah.
What law school did you go to?
Abuja,
because she went to Abuja law school.
Yeah, we were in the same set.
Right. So you knew each other. So you're not like a stranger that was playing a role.
Yeah. We're in the same set.
Right.
Chioma were in the same set. So it wasn't none of that. It was
Okay, right.
If you said there was a time where the point where I brought our yearbook and she was like, oh.
Yes, I saw that. Oh, right. So that was what was happening. So it was a mix of both.
Yeah.
How did the talking? Where did the talking get?
He didn't lead anywhere. But Chioma is fantastic, by the way.
Right, yes,
just as a person, a lot of people might, maybe but Chioma is a good person.
But she's a good person.
She's also just very calm and chill. Chioma is actually not what people think she is.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what do they think she is? Because
a lot of people think, I don't know.
She's puppety,
again, when people saw me on that moments where in my life, I'm like, can you just leave me? Can you people leave me alone?
Right.
What
were you doing?
A lot of my friends were like, what are you going to do with Chioma? People that, again, like I said, my life is very private. So that was a moment where people are like,
Yes.
What's happening? Like all my friends from back home, from wherever, people are calling me. I'm like, I just see you with Chioma, guy. What are you going to do for them?
Since we go hit you up.
That was the general consensus. It's like, bruh, you sure what you do so? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people are just calling me, and I'm thinking, like, what do you guys think this babe is?
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
No,
Up until that moment. It's like, guy, you won't die. What's in the fight for there? I'm like,
Lagos people,
really?
Nigeria people.
Well, again, like, she's, at least to me,
Yeah.
that's my experience with her. She's sweet, and she's a very nice person. Yeah.
Where do you want to go with all this? That's be my last question. You know, you've become a part of the culture, one of the people think of as leading guys. You know, you are central. Where do you want to go with all this?
As far as I can, I think even though my general life, my personality is not maybe entertainment-esque, I feel like I was made to do this and for this. And not just being in front of the camera. Again, I don't know, I recently started producing last year.
I didn't know that.
I've produced 6 films, all on YouTube for now.
Oh, wow, fantastic.
Yeah, all on YouTube for now. I have been taking directing classes.
Okay.
I've done some directorial work.
Amazing.
But I want to do like a full-blown directorial debut for myself soon on my channel. You know, I have an SODK TV YouTube platform. Yeah. We're growing channel. Good movies only. Guys, check it out. And I want to go as far as
this will take you.
Yeah, as far as life will let me.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as possible.
I think life has not just let you, but it's going to take you into places that you don't even know exist.
Amen.
You know,
I claim
and I'm
that.
here for it. I'm here for all of it.
Thank you.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Hi guys, good day Nigeria. Welcome to Eva is the entertainment show on Signature TV. I'm quite hyper today and I don't know why. Maybe because I had a swell time during this weekend. This weekend was one of the best. I enjoyed it and I was so sad when we were already on a Monday, like within a snap of a finger. I know you guys had an interesting weekend. It was a very great time in ENUGU because we had an event that happened here in ENUGU, the Naija Shawarma Festival, which the rain was trying to spoil, but of course they had it sold out later that very day. So here we're going to be telling you interesting stories in the entertainment world. Today is Monday and we'll be looking at social trend, what exactly is trending or what trended during the weekend on social media. I'm your baby girl Queen Ethel and I'll be walking you through all these today. So first on the list is that controversial musician Portable has alleged that Carter Efe's victory in Friday's celebrity boxing match was manipulated by organizers to avoid paying out 23 billion naira in betting winnings. So Portable made the claim in an Instagram video on Sunday, reacting to the widespread mockery from fellow celebrities following his defeat. Now, the bout held in Lagos saw Carter Efe emerge as winner and take home a 50 million naira cash prize after judges scored the match 30-27 in his favor. The loss sparked a wave of reactions online, with many Nigerian celebrities ridiculing Portable, who had spent the week leading up to the fight boasting about his chances of victory. So responding to the backlash, Portable insisted that the outcome was predetermined, alleging that organizers deliberately handed Kata Ife the win to avoid settling massive betting payout. Prior to the match, Portable had recorded wins against Speed Darlington and Charles Okocha in earlier celebrity boxing bouts in 2025. So now this has been going on since I think throughout the weekend. So Portable had to make a video yesterday and was explaining to us that, oh, he was paid some amount of money in dollars that approximately changed into naira to, I think, 17 billion naira or thereabouts, that he was paid so that he would lose. Do you understand? So people are more like, oh, why are you talking about this now that you've lost? If you had won, would you have said this? Because we saw the match. It doesn't look like he gave Kata Ife the free will to beat him to that point, right? So, but I don't know why he's saying that. What was the point? Comment section were like, you know, when someone beats you to an extent, you don't know when you begin to say things that they did not ask you, and that is exactly what happened to Portable. Because what exactly was your reason for? Okay, fine, you had a predetermined agreement with people that they will pay you a certain amount of money if you let Kata Ife win, and then you come out to talk about it when you know that you agreed to this. So what's the point of coming out to talk about it? That, oh yeah, I'm sorry I can't review that video to you, that yeah, people love him, he has fans that, oh, wanted him to win and all. I mean, people expect him to win because he has had other wins, and yeah, he was boasting. I'm sure most people were not really thinking that Kata Ife would win, but of course he did, surprisingly, because I mean, when Portable has won Speed Darlington, won Charles Okocha, so it's possible that they expected him to also win Kata Ife, but he surprised us to the door. Now, moving forward, Peggy Ovira has reacted to a recent statement by her estranged husband, Frederick Leonard, about being happier than ever. The development began on Friday when Frederick, in a birthday post on Instagram, reflected that each phase of his life often comes with a testimony, and indicated that he is currently happier than he has ever been. The post, which attracted over 63,000 reactions, reignited discussions about the state of his marriage to Peggy amid ongoing reports surrounding their separation. In what appeared to be a response, Peggy shared a new photo of herself on Saturday via Instagram, stating that she had chosen herself above anyone else. She also noted, while replying to a fan, that God had restored her peace and life. The birthday marked Frederick Leonard first since the reported separation from Peggy Ovira. Now, earlier in January, the actress had removed her name from the social media profile, further fueling speculation that the status of their relationship. We're going to go on a short break, and when we return, we would specifically analyze the story.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Welcome back. We're about to talk about Peggy Ovira and Frederick Leonard petty drama on social. Who is petty now? I think it's Peggy, because this young man just posted this picture because of his birthday party, and he's like, oh, this is the happiest I've ever been in my life and all that. And the wife had to throw some very cute shades. You know, the fun fact, when I was actually making some research about this whole story, I saw some posts and I think statements she made on social media, Instagram, of how she was with her boyfriend and he was cheating with her with a married woman, and with that she still got married to him, thinking that okay, he's gonna stop or he's going to change, not knowing that she's yet to see the part 2 or the reality of what is going to, you know, play out in the marriage. Now Peggy and Frederick had a beautiful wedding that we all loved. We all anticipated a whole lot. They were so beautiful together because we were surprised they were even in a relationship. And the fun fact is that they dated for a very long period of time, you know. And one thing I like about their marriage is that both of us are in the same industry, so we understand. No one is gonna feel like, okay, you're doing something that will hurt me, I don't like your career, you need to change and all that. We are in the same industry and we understand how it works, right? But the problem there was that Frederick was her boyfriend then, but he was cheating on her and she thought it would stop. Now the cheating is not like he's rubbing it to her face, but she tends to notice some kind of movement, in the sense that when they are in a public place, he praises the woman, you know, tell her that, oh, she looks so beautiful and all that and all that. And then when they get home, he tends to tell his girlfriend or his wife that, oh, the woman is so local, she's so this, she's so that, to make her feel like nothing is going on, until she had to put all the dots together and sorted out the puzzle and got to find out that, oh my God, this whole thing is still going on. You're literally cheating on me. Now they are not divorced, they are just separated. I think this is the first time she's actually speaking out like this, because I'm sure that sparked something in her when she saw where he wrote that, oh, this is the happiest he has ever been. It's more like, are you for real right now? So literally, when you were with me, I wasn't making you happy, but you were the one that was hurting my feelings. You were the one making me sad. You were the one making me angry and all that. So are you trying to say that I wasn't your pieces? I wasn't your piece. I was rather your problem. You know, so me out of the way has sorted out your issues and everything. I really, it's not like most people were not surprised about their divorce, about their separation rather. People were not surprised because of how it played out in their wedding. She, you know, some women has this whole problem of you kneeling down to accept a ring, you kneeling down to do this and do that. You know, the whole belief that, oh, a man is meant to do this, a man is meant to do that, but it's looking like this and the other way around. So it's giving the whole pick me vibe for them, right? It's giving the whole choose me. It's giving the whole how do I put it now? They just felt like it's, in fact, people were like, are you sure this is going to last? You know, some people were like, are you sure she's not the one that pressured him to marry her? A whole lot of talk. So when they all separated, they both separated, people were not really surprised. It's more like, oh, we were expecting this. But of course, nobody prays for anybody's marriage to go sour. It just happened. So it's more like you saw the red flags and you decided to use the red flag to sow agbada. Now you've seen it, and as they say, when you ignore signs, you see wonders. And the truth is, wonders shall never end. Anyways, moving forward, popular Nigerian content creator Shan Comics has stirred reactions online after opening up about a personal clash with his mother over tattoos, while also revealing a new body ink tied to his late gang identity. Now, the revelation came in a recent viral video shared on his social platforms, where he recounted the moment he tattooed his mother's name, Oluremi, on his arm. According to him, what he expected to be an emotional gesture quickly turned tense as his mother reacted by crying and referencing the Bible. He explained that she strongly opposed the tattoo, citing religious belief and warning him against marking his body. She questioned why he would inscribe her name without her approval and expressed disapproval of tattoos altogether, urging him not to repeat it. Shank said he challenged her position by pointing out that he viewed pointing out what he viewed as a contradiction, arguing that altering the body through tattoos and practices like shaving could be seen in a similar light. The content creator used the experience to advise young people facing similar disagreements with their parents, emphasizing the importance of independence when making personal decisions that may not align with family expectations. Amid the discussion, he also unveiled a new tattoo on his back bearing the inscription "Leeds Gang," further fueling reactions among fans. The development has sparked mixed response on social media, with some users supporting his stance on personal expression, while others sided with his mother, citing cultural and religious concerns about body markings. The conversation continues to reflect the broader tension between traditional beliefs and evolving youth culture in Nigeria's entertainment space. I was scrolling through social media and I came across a particular video. In that video, the girl was like, Nigerian parents always want to please the society. And she was like, stay with me, let me explain that. Imagine if society do not care about what you do, what you wear, you know, things you say, and all that and all that. Nigerian parents would not have a problem with it. So it's more like they are living for the society. They are living for what will people say. So imagine people do not say anything. Imagine people don't care. Imagine people just do whatever you like. Nigerian parents would not have a problem with it. That was what her statement is. Now, is scrubbing on your body, is putting ink on your body is sin? Yes, it is. It's actually, biblically, it is a sin. It is against the religious parts of behavior. It is against whatever religious belief you, it is against it. You are not permitted to put an ink on your skin. You're not permitted to write anything on your skin. It's against the laws of the Bible, not the laws of Nigeria or a nation, right? So some people are saying it's not. It is. Go read your Bible. Go to Leviticus or Deuteronomy, any of the above. I'm not a Bible scholar, so I'm not really sure, right? Now, I know it feels so sad that your first tattoos, you decided to write the name of your mother or draw the face of your mother or your father on your skin, and instead of them appreciating it, they are scolding you, because of course they will. The question is, look, our African parents can never ever understand this behavior because they didn't do it during their time. They were so engulfed with the whole "what will society say," and that is what this generation is trying to break. You know that whole trend of make I come dey fear because of wetin stranger go talk. I know we all remember that say speed Darlington, right? So it's more like, if you know your African parents is that kind of person that, oh my God, they are very Africanic, if there's a word like that, and you go ahead to draw a tattoo, maybe their face, and you're expecting them to be so emotional like the way you see it in Hollywood movies and all. I'm sorry for you. I'm so sorry for you. I know people will say, oh, but Muslims and some of the Hausas put ink on that can be washed off. It can clear off in a couple of weeks or days, right? It's not something that would be there for a long period of time, but this one is gonna be there for as long as you live, right? So you don't expect them to hug you, to say, oh, thank you, my son, yadi yadi yadi. No, that kind of thing can never happen with an African parent. It's not like they don't love you. They do love you. I can actually give a personal scenario where I wore an anklet and I came back home and my mom didn't see it. You know when she saw it? In the morning when we're about to say our morning prayers, and she was like, remove that anklet now. This is a sign of, how did she put it now? It's demonic, is giving Jezebel vibe, is this, is that I rebuke you from wearing this into this house ever again. You know, the whole biblical, it even turned into a prayer. It turned into a sermon. Oh, I don't know what you are turning to, and all that and all that. African parents do not vibe. They don't even vibe to that. So we shouldn't even try to do it that we're trying to please them. You see how he regretted doing that. So it's more like, do what works for you, but make sure that whatever decision you're making, you're not going to regret it tomorrow. Now, moving forward, popular Nollywood actress Eniola Badmus has challenged her colleague Funke Akindele to a celebrity boxing match. The challenge comes shortly after Nigerian streamer Kata Efe defeated Portable in a celebrity boxing bout held on Friday, earning a 50 million prize. Following the victory, Lagos socialite E-Money rewarded Kata Efe with an additional cash gift to celebrate his win. Prior to the match, talent manager Soso Sobericon had also given financial support to both Kata Efe and Portable. Now, reacting to in a viral Instagram post, Eniola Badmus called for a boxing showdown with Funke Akindele, urging both E-Money and Soso Sobericon to sponsor the proposed match. She emphasized that the time was right for the bout and stressed that the initiative was also driven by the opportunity to generate money. Honestly, they're actually making money in these. Are you sure you will not try it? So when I saw this, I was like, oh, this could be a joke or something. Funke has said nothing actually. This could be a joke or something, because are you kidding me right now? You young beautiful ladies want to go on a boxing ring? Like, you really do want to do this? Yes, the money is so interesting and inviting. You know, when they say you're going to be paid 50 million naira if you win, and you will also be compensated, you would think about it and, oh, is it not boxing? I can't do it now. I'll just go for field training and meet me in the ring, you know? So people would want to involve in it, but mind you, if you're not strong, don't do that too. Anyways, Nollywood actress and filmmaker Dayo Amusa has voiced frustration over the reality of Nigerian politics, describing the race of party tickets as uncertain and financially demanding. In a series of posts shared on X on Sunday, she highlighted what she sees as a disconnect between political assurances and actual outcomes during party primaries, alleging that many aspirants are misled despite committing significant resources. So Amusa questioned the credibility of some political figures, noting that promises of support often fail to materialize at decisive moments. She also criticized what she described as deceptive political practices, where aspirants are giving false hope even when decisions have already been concluded behind the scenes. In follow-up remarks, she portrayed politics as unpredictable and emotionally exhausting, cautioning that it requires resilience. She added that those who lose out of primaries rather, are frequently left weighing limited options, such as waiting for another election cycle or aligning with less prominent parties. So the actress further condemned the trend of premature endorsement, where aspirants are publicly labeled as incoming despite uncertainties surrounding their chances, and that is so sad. Anyways, that's all I have for you on the news segment this hour. We'll go on a short break, and coming up next is Social Trend, so stay with us.
Get plugged into the heartbeat of entertainment on The Hub, your ultimate show on eVibes. From trending stories and social media drama to top charting music, must-watch movies and exciting moments from the world of arts, we've got it all. Join us for unmissable conversations with your favorite entertainment personalities, plus fun segments every week.
I should try harder. So,
okay, I don't know that one.
Outfit of the day.
Oh, I don't do that. That's some Gen Z stuff.
Oh, now you say it's a Gen Z stuff.
It's everything you love about entertainment, served fresh every week at 1 p.m. with weekend repeats just in case you missed it. The Hub's on eVibes, where the vibes never stop. Only on Signature TV.
Welcome back. You're still watching E-Vibes, the entertainment show on Signature TV. This is Social Trend segments. As usual, on Monday, we tend to talk about what exactly is trending on social media and what exactly trended. So today, we are talking about what trended last night. Twitter was really buzzing. So Nigerian skip maker Kata Efe emerged winner of the Celebrity Boxing Championship at the Chaos of the Ring. Ring 4, defeating Singer Portable by an anonymous decision. Now, judges scored the bouts at 30-70 across all cards, bringing an end to Portable's unbeaten run in previous celebrity boxing appearances. So following the fight, Portable expressed frustration, revealing that he earned 45 million naira upfront from the match. He also issued a fresh challenge to forex trader Habi Forex for a proposed 300 million naira showdown. Elsewhere, tensions escalated on social media after streamer Shank Comic congratulated Kata Efe on his victory. The exchange quickly developed into a public feud with both parties referencing past disagreements and failed collaborations. Now, let's take a look at the video.
Is you and Kata good? The person they talk say yes, me and Kata is good. Shan comes, they say me and Kata is good. Me are not good though. Me and you are not good though. Give me chance. Man, give you chance. Now what do you want with that? Because you're a bad person. You block me for all platform. Now when you go with the congratulate me, go punish you. You don't understand? Now because of now they work hard. Serious, and I'll continue to they work hard, they go. I go work hard, I go risk my life because of this working hard. Very useless person. They answer say, is you and Kata good? If they don't say yes, we are good. Why would you be good with the champion? Don't say you are not good. May they visit your house with Uber. Now Uber they'll call you beat you live. Yeah, don't say what idiot. They answer say, is you and Kata good? The person they don't say yes, me and Kata is good. Shan comes, they say me and Kata is good. Me are not good though. Me and you are not good though. Give me chance. Man, give you chance. Now what do you want with that? Because you're a bad person. You block me for all platform. Now when you come with the congratulate me, go punish you. You don't understand? Now because of now they work hard. Serious, and I'll continue to they work hard, they go. I go work hard, I go risk my life because of this working hard. Very useless person. They answer say, is you and Kata good? If they don't say yes, we are good. Why would you be good with the champion? Don't say you are not good. May they visit your house with Uber. Now Uber they'll call you beat you live.
That was what happened. That was a feud last night between Kata Efe and Shanks. You know, these people were actually cool people. Kata Efe, Shan Comic, Lamba, you know, name them. They were good content creators that had to put a lot of smile on our face. So we do not know what happened behind the scene. I mean, Shank made a post after this where he was saying that Kata was looking for a collaboration or thereabouts, something like that. And then Shank said they cannot be able to collaborate that kind of brand because it is not in their league or something. It's not the kind of brand they want to do collaboration with anymore. So Kata did not have it and he was really sad. And maybe some kind of altercation happened and then Shank blocked him, and that was where I have a problem with. Now you blocked somebody, why are you congratulating him? I know people will say yes, you can block somebody and love them from a distance. Fine, you're loving me from a distance and you're congratulating me. Like why are you congratulating me when we are clearly not in good terms? This is what I have a problem with people with. Why are you always pretending to be mature? You blocked me on all social platforms. You literally blocked me on all social platforms. Why are you congratulating me? We are not in good terms. If we're in good terms, you won't block me, right? Now, I know people would say it's not a bad thing to wish to congratulate him if even if you block the person. Yes, I mean, you can love somebody from a distance, and the truth is Kata would have actually seen that congratulation and move on. You wouldn't have reacted. A whole lot of people felt like this is another clout for them, that Shanks is trying to be on the spotlight. He knows that Kata will react to this, because we know Kata that he's the kind of person that likes to talk. He would always talk. But one thing that one statement that Shank made that got people really questioning is that he said Kata likes to play a victim. And of course, when we go through the comments, you will see people say that, oh yes, he likes to play a victim, especially when he and his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, had a fallout and all that. He made it look like, oh, she's a bad person and he's a good person and all that. But me personally, I don't see any reason why you block somebody, and you block somebody that you're not in good terms with. You can't block somebody you're in good terms with. So if you're not in good terms with this person, why are you congratulating the person? Congratulate the person in your mind. Congratulate the person in your mind. Because yeah, there are some people that you will congratulate even though you're not in good terms with them, and they will say, oh, thank you very much. And there are people that will not have it. People like Kata Ife. But let's see how netizens reacted to this. Let's have the first comment. Men them said, fear double-faced nigger. You admitted you blocked him in private and in real life, and you come on social media to type congratulations message. For what? So the public will see you as a good guy. The same you and Smalley were making jokes and throwing shades at this guy before. That's exactly my problem. You block someone in private and you're coming in public to congratulate the person. Why? Let's have the next comment. Tracy said, Kata is just a manipulative, jealous human. Wow. Good Shank is finally speaking out. Anyways, trying to play victim. How can you call someone and say no reason? How can you call someone and say no reason? No reason, amo, but you're spoiling the person's reputation. Stay blocked, weirdo. And yes, you can wish someone well even though they are blocked. That is my problem with some human beings. Why are you trying to play mature? We are not in good terms. We are not in good terms. Why are you congratulating me? Okay, yes, I think there's a part of the Bible that said your enemies will congratulate you, right? Maybe that's what is happening here. But it's not like they're enemies. They had a fallout, right? We are not in good terms. Why are you congratulating me? I'm taking it personal now. Let's not talk of Kata Ife. We are not in good terms. Why are you congratulating me? Please, our enemies should stay far away. That Bible quote does not have anything to do with this. Let's have the next comment. Jetoli said, what did you do that make him block you? Answer first. He blocked you doesn't mean he doesn't want to see you win. As a hustler, common sense. Okay, yeah, that's true. I know you want to see me win even though you blocked me. Some people blocked you for their mental health. Some people block you because they don't want to have anything to do with you. And at the end of the day, they still wish you well. Wish me well in your mind. Don't block me. Don't come out to do like you're a good person. Because I mean, if you really want to congratulate this person, you would have unblocked him and be like, congratulations. But you congratulated him in public. Meanwhile, he's still blocked. Make it make sense to me. Let's have the next comment, please. Fearless said, I like Kata, but I think this Shank matter exposed the manipulative side of him. To see Shanks writing this much, it means he's tired of all the emotional blackmails. Still not a bad thing to be happy for someone who you blocked. Blocking no means say you hate them. True. Blocking no means say you really hate the person. It depends. I think blocking differs. It depends on what really happened between the both of you before you block the person. Now, according to Shank's long statements on social media, it looked like Kata Ife is the one that caused the whole blocking thingy. And of course, we don't expect him to start telling us stories of, oh, this is the reason why Shanks blocked me and all. But even though, since you blocked me, let's all stay blocked. Do not wish me. Of course, you don't expect him to do that. He will first of all react to the whole blocking scene and the whole congratulations scene. Because if you blocked me, why are you congratulating me? The manipulation side of him, it's only someone that is close to him that would know. We may not really know if he is very manipulative or he tries to play victim. So let's have the next comment. You blocked someone and you claim you aren't homies. Then why the public congratulation? Some clouds are not actually worth it. The nigga knows how Carter behaves. He must respond to it at the end of the day. Everyone knows what they are doing. That's true, actually, because he knows that Carter would respond at some point. He knows that they are not in good terms. They've not been talking. They've not been in good. I think they even met in a party or something, and Shanks did not show that, oh, they're actually good or something, because he said hello to him. He tried to greet him, but Shanks was not giving that welcoming aura or energy, you know. So why now come here to congratulate me? I felt if you really wanted to congratulate him, you would have unblocked him. Even, let's say, when that match was about to hold, you would have unblocked him and say, okay, let's see how this goes, and then after that you congratulate him. Or better still, after the match you would have unblocked him and texted him congratulations. Not you blocked someone privately and then you're coming up to tell the person publicly congratulations. That's why I felt like, oh, this could be a clout, because you know that he was definitely going to respond, you know. So let's have the next comment. Imagine blocking someone on WhatsApp. Imagine blocking someone on WhatsApp contact list, then post congratulations to the same person on your WhatsApp status. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. It doesn't. So let's have the next comment. The congratulatory message no really go far. I know like you no mean say I want you dead or I be your enemy. Shake my head, thumbs up. True, that is also possible, but I don't see any reason for that. Yes, you can wish somebody well from a distance. Wish the person well, but don't make it look like you're a good person. Maybe that person is the cause of the problem, fine, but wish the person well from far. Don't go private fighting with somebody and coming public to make it look, that's hypocrisy. Make it look like you guys are in good terms. No. And that's why Carter is not having it. Even though we know that he wouldn't have reacted, but he had to, because someone asked you if we are good and you're telling the person that we are good when you know fully well that we are not good. We have a fallout. We are yet to settle it, and I'm still blocked. And then you're telling the person that we are good, and you're now still coming to say congratulations to me publicly. So are you trying to make me look like a bad person out there on social media and paint yourself the good person? That's the part where everyone is not really having. So they would have settled their differences before coming out to say congratulations to themselves. Let's have the next comment, please. I just said everybody just wants to farm engagement and make money. Shanks knew Carter was the trending topic, so he immediately congratulated him. But it doesn't make sense congratulating someone you've blocked. I support Carter on this one. Let's have the next comment. I think we're all saying the same thing. Dak Dewale said, God self talking for Bible, your enemies will congratulate you. Yeah. I just finished talking about this. Okay, let's have the next comment. Royal A say, what happened to ignoring Shanks' congratulatory message? Carter too talk. True, but he knew that congratulation message would actually spike something. It will make Carter to spill, right? Because it feels like Carter is still hurt that he's being blocked by a guy he called his bro or his homie. You get? So that's why he feel like, what is the point? We are not good, so why are you congratulating me? Anyways, that's all I have for you on social trends this hour. We'll go on a short break, and coming up next is an interview we had with a very interesting guest. So stay with us.
Get plugged into the heartbeat of entertainment on The Hub, your ultimate show on eVibes. From trending stories and social media drama to top charting music, must-watch movies and exciting moments from the world of arts, we've got it all. Join us for unmissable conversations with your favorite entertainment personalities, plus fun segments every week.
So I should try harder. So
Okay, I don't know that one.
outfit of the day.
Oh, I don't do that.
Oh.
That's some Gen Z stuff.
Oh, now you say it's a Gen Z stuff.
It's everything you love about entertainment, served fresh every week at 1 p.m. with weekend repeats just in case you missed it. The Hub's on eVibes, where the vibes never stop. Only on Signature TV.
entertainment with moral narratives and strong character development. So today, however, there is a growing debate as Nollywood shifted its focus from crafting quality stories to chasing box office returns. Critics argue that in the race of quick profits, some production prioritize quantity over depth, often at the expense of the rich storytelling that made the industry beloved in the first place. This raises an important question for filmmakers like Izu Okafor. Is Nollywood sacrificing quantity for profit? So welcome to the show, Izu Okafor. I hope you can hear me. Okay, so check your mic because I can't really hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hello,
Yes,
can
I
you hear
can.
me now?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. I say it's a pleasure being on the show. It's always a pleasure being on Levi and Signature TV. It's always a pleasure
All right.
being on the show.
Can you shift back a little bit? You're cutting your head. Yeah. All right, now Izu, looking back at Nollywood during the time of legends like Sam Lukweke and Kemuwo and actors in films like Ake and Popo and Living in Bondage, what do you think made the storytelling and performances stand out compared to today?
One of the things I felt was, I feel and I strongly feel is this. It's something I call the, you know how when you want to cook something and let's say you want to cook rice and you put your rice on fire, there is a particular estimated amount of time before the rice boils and it's done. So we are in a generation where everybody wants a quick fix. You just put it on fire, 5 minutes. Imagine a rice of 5 minutes and bring it down and start serving to people. It's obviously not done, if I would say. So a lot of, particularly right now, are doing the same thing, and it's understandable. The passion to tell good stories, even though it's still there, but the passion to make things that resonate again is no longer. Imagine when a producer tells you they make 100 films in a year, 50 films in a year. What are these guys doing? Yes, they're shooting 50 films in a year. There's no how out of the 50 films, call one that is memorable, not one single one. And a lot of our producers take pride in this. A lot of our directors, they say, I'm shooting back to back. You hear them, I'm shooting back to back. And I'm not blaming them. It's what we are around now in a fast-paced society, a society where everybody wants as they hot on the go. Everybody just wants something to watch, to review, and all. And in that situation, I'm not saying that back in the day they were doing almost the same thing, but back in the day they took their time. They took their time. There was no YouTube that was mandating them that you have to be dropping film every 2 weeks, every 1 week. The Thursdays and Fridays, we drop movies on our YouTube channel. So there's there for them to make something. But over the years, we've seen the transition, and in this box office era, where a lot of people, it's for the now, the passion is limited. What made Funka Akindele popular is Jennifer's Diary. Everybody
Okay.
knows Jennifer's Diary. Why popular? There were telling stories that were relatable. They were always on our faces. They were showing us what, like they were mimicking that comical. It's like Mr. Bean, but with an African Niger concept. It gave us a relatable story. Right now, aside Jennifer's Diary, there is no other. So that's why her name. Some people still call her Jennifer. That's how memorable those films were. Right now, you hardly see a film that makes an actor. Right now, you hardly see a film that defines who an actor is. Or Sophia, Kanayo, or Nice Sacrifice, Aki and Popo. These are not their real names. this was a character,
Mm-hmm.
a character that played that at the end of the day, it made them stand out. And I'm not saying people don't know, okay, at least for some people like Odogu Parara did something and we start calling him Odogu Parara because of the character he played. But then it's, in this situation is really rare, unlike before. So I would say the passion is no longer as it used to be. People are now in a pursuit over quantity instead of quality. That's why we are. It's exciting for most people to say that I'm shooting back to back. Like they take pride in the fact that they are making things back to back, and you don't have to be paying them. The bills need to be paid, and the creative economy is a very expensive space that once you decline, another we have a lot in tons of YouTube. Almost every actor has a YouTube channel now. Why? Because they want to always be your script, because they want to be dishing out those avoid rights for everybody to eat.
You and this
The
parboiled
recycling
rice.
stories. Yes, now because that's the only thing I will call it.
Right.
So,
All right.
you
Let me
watch,
ask you the next
Pokemon.
question. Right now, many critics argue that modern Nollywood prioritizes quantity, like you've actually said, and quick profits over strong narratives. And in your opinion, I know you would agree that industry shifted away from the level of creativity. We saw classics like Rattlesnakes and Glamour Girls. I would like to ask, I know the economy is not really friendly for everyone, right? Be you the rich and the poor. Would you say that because of the economy, they are now going for movies that they know that they can make quick money rather than the quality of the movie?
Yes, we could still blame the economy. Are we always going to blame the economy? The economy has never been good for filmmakers at any point. Starting, the government did not influence, the government did not support Nollywood when Nollywood started. It was just indigenous filmmakers that started, was out of their way, picked something, started making things, home videos, they started making them. So the economy at this point, as much as we always want to find something to blame, I don't think it's the economy. I feel it's the fact that the way we celebrate things in Nigeria has taken a lot of the way we celebrate things, the way we celebrate these actors, the way we take up projects and allow them, has drastically reduced over time. Has drastically reduced over time. Because one, I think the this generation now celebrates a lot of stuff, and for this one, everyone, anything you want to celebrate has a short lifespan. Within 3 to 4 weeks, one film trends. After that, next, onto the next one. I don't know what the next film trending now on YouTube or on Facebook or wherever, but it's the short lifespan of what is it's affecting everybody. So it's not just the economy. But then I always say it boils down to filmmakers who know what they want to be. Because as a filmmaker, let me talk to filmmakers already. As a filmmaker, you don't limit yourself because of they say it's YouTube and now everybody jumping on that. What are you talking about? I'm not that's why when you call me, when I want to hire someone and you ask them, I want to do a film. This is the kind of money they ask you, is it for YouTube? That's the first thing they ask. And I'm wondering, why would I want to shoot a film for an online, like I'm just saying, is YouTube paying me to make a film for them? It's a platform. It's understandable that will make them for YouTube. But then it's not something that someone should define themselves as YouTube filmmaker. Because it's a context. You're a filmmaker, you're a creative. Be a creative. And being a creative means you need to make works that go beyond borders, that go to film festivals all over the world. Like there's this film that was on the film festival last year, My Father's Shadow. The exciting thing about this film was the fact that Chinola Davis, if you know, showed them camp, those two brothers, there was one of them is a filmmaker. He does his directorial debut, My Father's Shadow. And as funny as it sounds, they didn't use any popular Nollywood face. And this film is breaking record. It's one of the global renowned Nigerian film right now. British Film Institute is talking about the film. It's doing so well on various festivals around the world. I think it's also gone to Cannes. That's how this film has gone. Like it has gone to Cannes, it has gone to some big reputable film festivals. And sincerely, they don't have any popular film. There is no the big A-star people on this film. So I feel it's a thing about creativity. Once you know what you want to create, and you go out of the box, like there is a filmmaker, there's a lot of filmmakers that I look up to. Those guys that take that. That's why I always recommend people. Once you're doing, you find another side of it. It mustn't just be food. So you are not even in a pressure of teaching every day you are on set. Now man, you go break down. So try create, like I'm just saying, try create out of experiences, lived experiences. And once you are creating these things, find a way that you connect. I'm not saying those other things out there don't connect, but sincerely, YouTube films are YouTube films. You watch it and you forget it. All the next thing. There are films I watch while growing up. I can never forget to read. I can't forget Opa. I can never forget Living in Bondage. I can never forget Righteous Name. This is about these films. And we remember the lines are even memorable. I always say this line from Living in Bondage. Andy, and Andy said, oh, I said, follow one more time. These are lines that made, I don't know if that is memorable, right? That people big stuff, learn lessons from this film. Now it's all about romance, drama. I'm not saying there's nothing bad about it. People need to be entertained with friends. Let's entertain the people. So that's what people are doing. That's what.
All right. So, last week, Francis Odega mentioned in an interview that many filmmakers today are more focused on trending content and social media buzz rather than crafting stories with depth and lasting impact, right? He also further stressed that a particular script, like a particular scene, would intentionally look like it's been overstretched, right? Now, do you agree with his assessments in that statement?
That is the truth. It's the YouTube era. Everybody's a YouTube filmmaker. That's why everybody's jumping on film because of, it needs to trend, it needs to, the film needs to be on, what's it called? The film needs to trend. That's why everybody's jumping on film. Right? Most people are jumping on film. Right? So that's why people don't even care. You see, you watch a story. I don't know if producers do this thing. They will send the link of that film on YouTube. Go and watch this film. I want something that looks like this. Are you mad? Why wouldn't you get your own original? Yeah, like I'm just wondering, why would someone just out of the blue, you send the link of the film to your writer? See this film. I like, don't you believe it has 10 million views? We need to create something like this. What would the writer do? The writer will do copy and paste. Copy, they'll just translate it. Just change the name, scatter the scenes in it, and bring it out. Yes. And that's what but I'm thinking most people will be doing stuff like that, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. We need to create from. I keep saying, there are stories of not told. Stories like there are African stories, Igbo stories, Yoruba stories, Hausa stories. The Yoruba guys are doing so well telling their stories. There are stories of not told. I will not explain. Look at the Aba Women's Riots, 1929. Imagine telling a film of that. Like that film will always be memorable in people's minds. I feel film, as much as it's drama, romance, and all, it needs to tell stories that connect us to where we're from. That's why we watched. I watched Long Walk to Freedom. Funny enough, the Nelson Mandela story has been retold and retold. I think David Oyelowo did a part, and there's a part Idris Elba acted. I think there's a part there's a Washington actor also. But for each of this film, it tells a bit of what this guy went through. Imagine there's no film on the movie now. Imagine if I when my child grows up and I ask him, there's this man, his name is on the movie. We ask, who is he? What did he do? No film. There should be something that tells about our past. There should always be something that tells about our past. There should be something that tells about our lived experiences. That's why, if you remember, the early Nollywood, you always see the guy that will move from the village to the city. And then
Izu, because of time, right? Hold your line of thoughts. Let me ask the final question in 2 minutes. So do you think audiences today still crave the rich character-driven narratives that made movies like Aki and Popo and the likes? Because me, that viewer that would always go back to movies that Patience Ozokwo was part of, Aki and Popo was part of. Now, having these people, these characters, Nkemowu, Aki and Popo, Patience Ozokwo in movies that are made in this modern days, do you think it can maybe drive a different narrative or even change the perception of viewers?
Sadly, no, I don't think. I don't think. It's like Chief Daddy came out. Chief Daddy one came out. It was a banger. And Chief Daddy, so everybody was not complaining. What went wrong? What happened? What happened to the story? But they always say story is king, though. Story is king. Story is the number one thing. Story makes or marks your film, your project. So it boils down to our story. It's a story. This is the story that created the character Susanna, Mama G. This story created these two characters from one person. Story created. We remember when she was called Susanna. We remember when she was called Mama G. Remember all the names that came alongside her and the stereotypic character that came with her being that, oh, because she's always acting wicked in-law role, she's a wicked woman. So story makes those things. And over the years, we've seen her being nice out and saying, yes and yes.
Yeah.
So, but I tell you, story affects or influences whatever we tell. So even if we want to tell a story about a character and your character, it's not, the story is not storying. Let me use that word. The story is not storying well.
All right, thank you so much, Izu. I think you've done justice to this, right? You've done justice to this, even though you're a director. I'm sure you're speaking to yourself too. So thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. I had great time. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. And the show has come to an end. Join us same time tomorrow for more conversations like this, trending stories, and of course, other segments. Follow all our social media platforms. Don't forget to always tune in on channel 265 on SLTV. Enjoy the rest of your day. I remain your baby girl, Queen Mukunta.
Tanko said within 4 years of Peter Obi's tenure in office, he will show the roadmap of achieving fundamentally improved electricity and the general economy of Nigeria.
Nigerians are producing some of the best ideas on how to generate electricity all over the world. So why can't we do it at home? Because we have leaders who have already triumphed in criminality. Because we have been depending so much on Kenji Dam for years. Have you seen any innovation? None. The one that they did and stole the money was in Mambila Plateau. When BBC did an investigation, they went and found that there's nothing on that particular ground. A Peter Obi will never do that. In fact, he will go there almost on a monthly basis to ensure that the project is up and running. Within 1 year, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi can show the roadmap to building strong electronics consumption to the people. We're just running about 3,000 and all. He can improve it to about 10,000 within 1 year. Because we have the expertise, Nigerians have the expertise to put those mechanisms in place. Just 1 year.
According to Tanko, his principle will make an impactful leadership, display accountable and transformative leadership, and build a nation that answers to the needs and expectations of the citizens in education, health, agriculture, and security.
ASU have made consistent requests on how to make the educational system in Nigeria more comfortable. They've requested for salary, they've requested for equipment, putting those particular schools, making them comfortable. How long would it take you to put all of that? If Mr. Peter Obi granted most of the things that ASU required to make these universities more great and improving the educational system, just like he did in Anambra, what are you expecting? It's a success of even that 1 year. We have arable land, which he talk about on a constant basis, and it's domiciled in the north, where we have major population. And insecurity is more dominant in the northern part. Now he said, okay, every local government, I'm dealing with the cooperative society, I'm dealing with the emirs, I'm dealing with the farmers directly. When your farming season starts probably in June, for example, I've already provided you in January tractors and seedling that you require. Within a short period of time, less than just 1 year production, massive production, you will see the dynamics and changes that will affect the younger generation in the north. That is the success.
He regretted that the ruling party has not provided any governance and dividends of democracy to Nigerians since assuming office.
Even in the 8 years, if you do not want to do, you cannot achieve it. Give me 16 years. If you're not prudent, you will never achieve anything. We've seen it now. The last president before he died, what do we have? What did we get from him? What did we get for the 8 years? Just tell me tangible things that we got from the 8 years. If not for the completion of some of the projects that Mr. Jonathan did at that time. So this way we are here already 2 years, nothing to show for it. Nothing. So when people talk about whether 4 years is because we are always denying ourselves that we can achieve something within a short period of time. It is doable, very much doable. We only need to work together as a team.
In the next 2 years, Nigerians will be heading to the polls to elect a new president that will govern for another 4 years. The obedient are optimistic that a new Nigeria is possible under Peter Obi as president. In Abuja, Nasiru Usman for Signature TV.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Development Discourse, where we ideate for Africa's development. My name is Patrick Okibo. I'm the founding partner at Next Year. And Next Year is a multi-competency advisory firm that's focused on, trying to solve Africa's complex development challenges. The world is undergoing a very profound transformation, rising geopolitical tensions, the erosion of multilateral cooperation, and the decline in international aid are reshaping the rules of global engagement. For Africa, a continent that is young, rich in natural resources, these shifts present both significant risks and maybe unprecedented opportunities. African leaders must confront these hard questions, some of which, what role should Africa play in the emerging global order, and how can it reposition itself to safeguard and advance its interests? Joining me today to discuss the new world order and Africa's development is Ambassador Joe Keshi. He's the president of the Association of Retired Career Ambassadors of Nigeria. He served as permanent secretary in Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Cabinet Secretariat under two presidents, Olusegun Obasanjo and Umaru Yar'Adua. Over his 34 years diplomatic career, he's held postings to Togo, Ethiopia, Belgium, the Netherlands, Namibia, the United States, where he was the Consul General. He also played a key role in peace negotiations that ended Sierra Leone's civil war. He was also the chairman of United Bank for Africa PLC during one of its most aggressive expansions through Africa. He was the founding director general of Brest Commission, a development agency that was set up to solve the development challenges in Nigeria's Niger Delta. He is a recipient of the Officer of the Order of the Niger and many other distinctions. Ambassador Keshi, welcome.
Thank you, Patrick. Thanks for having me.
Great. So maybe we start from the beginning. And so what is your understanding of this new world order, and how is it different from, what I guess is now the old order or the disappearing order?
Well, quite frankly, Patrick, we are not yet too sure whether it's disappearing, or whether it has some more years to stay. But what is certain is that we are in an era of uncertainty as a result of some of the factors you have named. But the truth is that unlike the old order, which was rule-based and which was established post-World War, the new order today is more, and then created by Western leaders and Western institutions. Bear in mind that when it was created, half of Africa, for example, was under colonial rule. But today, the new world order seems to be more diverse, and it's not just a question of a few actors dominating the scene anymore. You have a collection of actors, shaping the world. You have a bunch of new interests, regional interests. But I think what's going to define that new order is emerging global competition, particularly among I won't say the superpowers, but states that are ready to develop themselves. In this connection, I have in mind countries like India, that has over the years, emerged to become a power in itself, and it's really engaged, properly engaged, and I think is the third or the fourth or the fifth largest economy in the world. So that places India, for example. So you have a collection of, the new world order is certainly more diverse than the other one that was dominated by a group, practically Western dominated, Western institutions. But that is gradually breaking down, little by little. And of course, we say this, history teaches us that empires don't last forever. And I think that's where we are today.
It's interesting that you picked India. Most people will quickly rush to China. So it's interesting that you mentioned India, biggest democracy in the world, one of the fastest growing economies, just exporting its power within its sub-region, but also projecting quite nicely into the West. But whatever it is, India, China, Russia, the US, whatever it is, how is Africa positioning to respond to these factors, these forces that are gathering? What are you hearing from other career diplomats across the continent?
I think we are all a little bit worried. We are worried because we do not see a sense of urgency in African leaders, preparing for the new challenges that are emerging. And I think President Kigama, put it correctly. I saw a video of President Kigama, complaining recently that he's not worried about so many things, but for the fact that Africa is not being prepared for the new challenges, but he still has this mindset that is going to be taking instructions or orders from people outside the continent. You did mention the fact that I did mention India. Yes, I deliberately avoided China because everybody over the years has seen the rise of China to a very prominent and dominant player in the international scene. You can actually see what he's doing to Donald Trump today. But India is a good example of a country that has, given what it has gone through to get to where it is today. So for Africa itself, yes, the emerging new order provides an opportunity for Africa. I think the question really is Africa going to seize the moment? Is Africa going to seize the opportunity? And there are a lot of things that Africa really needs to do to be able to scale up, and be part of that new world order that is diverse, and they can control not just their own space, but at least can become part of the global player. Perhaps not as strong as China, perhaps not as strong as India, but at least, they could become a credible international partner within the global system.
So it's interesting, and I'd like us to really get into some of these ideas you've got on what Africa should do to position itself. But before I get to that question, one of the, however we decide to play, a big question would be, do we approach the world as a collective, having a common position, or do we approach the world where each country is arguing for what is best for them? So maybe if we answer that question first, then we can look at what are some of the things we need to do to position for what is emerging.
Look, countries would always like to act based on their national interest. There's no doubt about that. But where we are today, it would be in our best interest to collectively act together. When you come to think of it, that was why in the 60s we established the Organization of African Unity, collectively to fight for independence and for economic development of Africa. And when the first achievement, that is independence of African state, we went to the next stage, which is economic development, which led to AU and some of the things they are trying to do today, like the growth of regional economic entities. And you now have the continental trade and the rest of it. That shows you that Africa itself recognizes the fact that somewhere along the line, it has to act collectively together. But what is crucial for Africa to be able to succeed, that there must be a group of African countries that is driving the process. And this is where you find countries like Nigeria, South Africa, possibly Algeria, Morocco, and Egypt. But Egypt has not really shown any interest to be part of that process from what I can see. It seems to be confined to its own, So, but for Africa itself, I think the responsibility will now be on the ability of Nigeria, South Africa to work together to mobilize, the continent, and how they bring all this, together will probably decide or determine where Africa will be in the next couple of years.
So as you think about the continent, if we think about strengths, right? We've got a young, dynamic population, average age of somewhere between 18 and 19. We've got some of the resources that will power the new industrial revolution that we're in. We've got some of the core strength and power and dynamism that's coming out of Africa. So those are our strengths. How do we harness this in negotiating a place for ourselves, first as a continent and then as nations in this emerging order? What are some specifics? If you had a room full of the presidents of these countries you mentioned, what would you be saying to them, given your years of understanding of how diplomacy works, both within the continent and outside?
I was in a program, Patrick, where this issue of Africans' youth population, came up, and there was so much emphasis on the miracle they will perform. But I cautioned by saying, have we interrogated that youth population? And what exactly are we doing to prepare that youth population for the future? When you look at that, the growth of that population is going to be huge. It's going to be massive. And so the question now is, how is the continent itself preparing for that? Are you training that population to be skillful? Are you training that population to be able to provide for itself? Are you creating an entrepreneurial, population? Are you creating a new generation that will emerge from that group to provide a new brand of leadership in the continent? A new generation of leaders that would face the world as against what's going on today. Now, I'm not saying that we are not doing much or that there's no hope. Certainly, a few young people are doing very well across board, but the critical mass that is necessary, that can propel Africa is what is worrisome. I doubt if we are creating that critical mass. You know, in our conversation before this, I did say to you that at a time in which Nigeria, for example, you know, stopped sending its students abroad to study, China was sending its young people massively to the Western world, you know, to study. And they returned back. They are part of the group that has created what China has become today. So if we want to emulate what China has done, you know, in the past, what we need to do is to begin to fashion out how do we deal with this? How do we prepare that huge population? How do we begin to prepare them today? And by the way, Charles, you know, we are not just talking of the ones we know today. We also have to add the ones that are unborn yet, because there's high infant, what do they call it now, you know, in this part of the world.
Fertility.
So we need to do fertility. Yeah. So we need to do a lot to begin to prepare that budge. And that goes that we need to take a second look at education and see whether we are going to, how we can create that, the skills that are necessary for the next, you know, part of the century. We need to take a look at, do we have the capacity? We need to build that capacity. There's no other way. We need to just build, make sure that we educate that population. We create the skills, the manpower that is needed. And we need to be adaptable to technology, because technology is going to help us a lot in the drive to wherever we want to be. Where China, for example, is today, and to a large extent, you know, India it also has to do with technology. And that's why sometimes I quarrel with African leaders by giving an example that, look, anytime an African leader goes to the Western world to, you know, they come back telling you that they have signed an agreement for XY number of loans. And I pointed out that some 4 or 5 years ago, the Indian Prime Minister, on a visit to Britain, signed 2 documents. One was to train 1 million Indian ICT professionals. Another one was almost close to another million on cyber security. The last time the same gentleman was in America, they signed the same document. They didn't sign for loans. They signed to train the young people of India for the future. Our own leaders go and begin to sign loans, and you have no clear idea exactly what those loans are used for eventually. So we must try to emulate. Look at what we must begin to say to ourselves: what are other countries doing best that has propelled them to where they are today, and what we need to do. So to directly answer your question, if I were to sit among African presidents and I'm faced with that question, I would say, look, train your people to be prepared for the future. And education is one. Ensuring adaptability to technology is another. And that we also need to begin to train them on entrepreneurship, because government cannot absorb all. And if we do not industrialize, where is that huge population going to work? I think those are the questions that, you know.
This is great. Now, if Africans are going to negotiate with the world, you know, we need a vehicle for that negotiation. The AU, the African Union, should be at the forefront of those conversations. From your understanding, you know, what are the challenges to AU's effectiveness, and what are some thoughts on how the AU can address these challenges?
Yes, you can see that in the current global tension, the United Nations is virtually missing. You know, it's not as if the ambassadors in New York are not working. They are working, but nobody is paying attention to their efforts, you know, particularly in terms of trying to find peace in Gaza, or trying to find peace in with the Russian-Ukraine war. But I just saying that, look, Africa has a program, has a document for the next 30 years. I'm trying to remember the name now.
2063? 2063.
For 30, 35 or so.
No, 2063. 2063. 63.
2063, exactly. Yes, I think what Africa should do is to try and find a way that that document can be implemented across the region. If they can do, look, they need to go from policy to implementation. And just not just the AU itself. ECOWAS is going to be 50 years old today. When you go through ECOWAS document from day one, the first ECOWAS treaty that was signed, and some of the changes that have been made in ECOWAS, the problem ECOWAS is having is moving from policy to implementation. And Africa needs to find a way to do the same thing, to move from policy to implementation. We are talking of the African continental trade. Africa must have something to trade before it works properly. If you don't have something to trade, it's just not going to work.
If we look at back in the 60s, that big push of the OAU, the Organization of African Unity, especially to drive for independence and then much later for democracy, it appeared that what kind of propelled that organization was you had some big leaders in the continent, who put their resources where their mouths were. But if you look at Africa today, there seems to be an absence of such big personalities that could pull the continent forward. Would you agree that that's part of the problem? And if yes, are there alternatives to how to galvanize the entire continent, to push for a set of common goals?
Patrick, I think that's one area where Africa really has to lament seriously about what happened to the continent itself post-independence. When you look at the generation that fought for independence, they were inspired. Many of them, by the way, schooled abroad. At that time, Africa was still under colonial rule. And then they were surprised to find out that the countries that were actually superintending Africa, we're talking of democracy. We're talking of freedom of speech. All these nice things about democracy. And they began to wonder, how on earth I see that you guys are talking of democracy here, but in the country where I come from, you are not even giving us that opportunity. So they were more or less inspired. And based on that inspiration, they came back home and fought for independence. Unfortunately, that generation, despite the mistakes they made, they were not allowed to hold on to power for long enough for us to see what they could have done. But the little they did, it's still, on. If I have to again localize it to Nigeria, I was listening to I remember his name a little bit, talking of what was going on in Nigeria, for example, post-independence, when Chief Obafemi Awolowo declared, declared free education and was driving development in Western Nigeria. And what he said was that if only Chief Obafemi Awolowo had stayed behind in the West and had not decided to move to federal, that by the 70s or close to close to 80s, probably be competing with Brazil. Almost all indices of development, the Western Nigeria was doing well. But you also know that as far back as 1960, the dawn of independence, countries like Nigeria, also had a GDP higher than China. So you could see what happened. And I think that the blame certainly should go or will be placed by history on military rule that destroyed that period and created a new mindset and a new generation of leaders that do not appear to be inspired by anything but power, wealth, and influence.
Interesting. It's interesting that you locate it to military rule, because what we're seeing in the continent again is if you look at the Afrobarometer study, the last one, it shows that if you ask Africans, increasingly more people are saying, well, this democracy has not quite worked for us. Let's try something else. And when they say something else, they're looking at military rule. In the last 3 years, we've seen a lot of coups and attempted coups. And if we again look at what is happening in the West, where we would have expected, say, the West to jump in and say, no coups in Africa, we're here to defend democracy. With what's happening in Ukraine, with what Donald Trump is doing in America, we're losing those friends that could have stepped in to say, let's fight for democracy. So my question is, are we not going back to the post-independence years when we saw that rise in military rule? If that does happen, what does that portend for Africa going forward?
No, Patrick, I think I disagree with you that our friends have abandoned us when it comes to that. No, I think what the way I look at it is that apart from France, that has shown some interest in some of the Francophone nations where this coup has taken place. Look, if a coup takes place, and I don't advocate for coup, if a coup takes place today in Nigeria, you will see a different reaction from the world. I am very confident of that. So it's because of this little innocuous countries that that the world is not paying any serious attention to, except of course France that try to pay attention to some of these countries. But look, again, it goes to what is going on in Africa. It's a leadership problem, and until we can solve that leadership problem, and ensure that democracy itself, good governance, accountability, less corruption operates in the continent, we'll continue to have problems. As we speak, Patrick, I think this morning, or was it late last night, the news broke that the 81 years or something years old president of Ivory Coast has banned the leader of opposition from taking part in the next election. If a coup happens in Ivory Coast, will anybody be surprised? No. Here was the same man that virtually also led ECOWAS to declare, that there are no more coups. Mm-hmm. So when you have African leaders, number one, trying to not doing what they should be doing, to provide for the people, trying to stay as long as they can in office. At 81 or 80 something, what else do you want to offer your country? Why don't you try and bring up some new generation of leaders across board that will take the country to the next level? Must you die in office? So until we begin to change that mindset, until our leaders begin to do the right thing, and which is that we have been talking of industrialization, we've been talking of economic diversification. In fact, I remember giving a talk somewhere in One some years ago on diversification. It was organized by NDDC. And I said to them that I heard diversification first when I was a kid growing up in Ibadan. I heard it a lot in the university. And I said it would be a tragedy if my grandchildren also, also will be hearing that word diversification. While we were talking of diversification, China has diversified, India has diversified, Japan and the rest have done that even before then. Only Africa remains today to be talking of diversification. So if this continent has to grow, if this continent has to move forward and become a credible player within the international community,
of nations.
Patrick, my position is that we need a new generation of African leaders who are conscious of where we are today, who are conscious of the need to change the dynamics, to change the narratives of the African continent and present a new Africa, that is mindful of its destiny, that is mindful of the fact that it has the resources to grow and become what it should be, like the rest of the world.
So I think the same way you've been, from your days in the primary school or university, you kept hearing of diversification, and we're still talking about it today. That same way, from my infancy, I started hearing the need for new leaders to emerge in Africa to lead us to El Dorado. So the question, therefore, is why haven't we been able to do it where other countries that have, or continents, that have similar challenges that we do, have been able to navigate and, set sail? What's the problem? Now, let's bring it home. Let's look at Nigeria, right? Because Africa can be, broadly diverse as well. Why is it difficult for us to translate policies and programs to solutions? Why is it difficult for us to transition or find leaders, build systems, build institutions that can lead us to development? From your view, you've been in diplomacy, you've been in the private sector as chairman of, UBA, you've done development as Director General of Braced Commission. What's the problem and how do we navigate it? What are your thoughts?
Patrick, I wish I can provide you an immediate answer, but it's huge. In my view, I think that from the military transition to where we are today, we've always had the wrong set of leaders. These are leaders that do not understand anything about leadership, except that they just come to power and decide that they're going to build roads. They're going to reconstruct some primary schools and secondary schools. And once that is done, that is all. You also have, and again, you also have to blame some key institutions, and here I also want to name the media. Mm-hmm. This is a country where every year in the last 20 years or so, almost all the media houses organizes an award night. The best governor in education, the best governor in agriculture, the best governor in project, the best governor in health. But guess what? In all these best, when you go and look at what they've done in their states, practically nothing much. Mm-hmm. So you begin to ask if the media that is supposed to help galvanize the people to understand what the leadership is doing is sincere, to itself. But the fundamental problem, in my view, is that we have leaders who do not know how to inspire, who do not know how to reorder society, who do not know how to bring together the best to drive a nation. Patrick, you remember that when President Kennedy promised Americans that, look, in 10 years, America must go to the moon. They did it. They practically did it. They practically did it. And there are so many other countries around the world. North Korea, you can look at what the leadership did in North Korea. In Singapore, you can look at what the leadership did. These are leaders who inspired and insisted that this is what we must. And they brought together people around them that helped them to construct the country the way they want the country to move. Somewhere along the line, our, should I say, being influenced by a couple of Western ideas that is more closer to influence, closer to power, closer to, you just name it. So this is why you find out that with regards to Nigeria, the first thing our leaders do in getting to office, everybody cross board, you buy a new set of new cars, nothing wrong with the old ones. You buy a new set of, the attention is diverted. Nobody sits down to begin to reason, to say, look, how do we move from here, from A to B? How do we mobilize the people? And the world has even defined for us, like the United Nations has defined for us, the key triggers of development: education, health, agriculture. If we just focus on those three and grow the economy, certainly a lot will change in this country. And the next generation of leaders will take it up from there. But where you find that in some states, and I can speak extensively on this, in some states, some governors come to power. The first thing they did, it's to destroy everything their predecessor has done because they hated him or that the way they came to office or he didn't support them, and they made it. So you find that very few states are doing reasonably well in education. Some are not even focusing on education. I give you a good example. I think it was 2011. Akwa Ibom voted about 11 or so billion for agriculture and spent only 900 for women empowerment. So you can see why we are still where we are today. It's a question of leadership. It's a question of the people themselves not challenging their leaders to do something for them. We have all just given up, and we keep going to church and praying that the Almighty God will help us. But I've told a number of people, I've never answered amen to those prayers because I know God will not come down to help us. He has given us the faculty, the ability to help ourselves, and the rest of the world have done the same thing. But if we insist that the gentleman from heaven who has given us the power, the resources, that he should come down again and do more, he's certainly not going to come down. So it is left to us whether we want to, do a lot for ourselves. And if we want to do a lot for ourselves, we should begin to search for solutions. How do you move this from A to B?
And what are some of these solutions? So let's say I'm a young person, I'm listening to this conversation and I'm thinking, I'm fired up, I want to do something. We organized for the last election, blah, 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 it went the way it went, so the young person doesn't believe in credible elections, doesn't believe that those institutions will work. The young person doesn't believe that they're going to get a job or get a good education unless they've got connections. They see all of these challenges heaped up against them. The media, that should be projecting what should be possible, that should be calling out bad politicians, jumping all over themselves to give award to these governors and so on. As a young person, sitting at home now, hopefully there is power and you can listen to this, and they are fired up and they want to do something. Where do they start? What do they do? How do they organize?
We've not had power. We've not had power in my area for 3 days. so to let you know. Look, I hate to say this, but the young people of today should understand that if they really want a change in this country, Nigeria, indeed, anywhere in Africa, they got to fight for it. They got to fight for it. Look, everything they enjoy today, the young people, everything they're enjoying today, some people fought for it to make it available to them. So if that generation if the generation today refuse to fight for themselves, they have themselves to blame. I think it was Frantz Fanon. I'm trying to remember how he said it about every generation having to, how did he put it now? Either every generation has to define its part, or every generation has to do something. Frantz Fanon said it very well. But the point is that you cannot sit in the comfort of your home and things are going wrong, and you say, no, I'm not going to go out to demonstrate. I'm not going to join in protest. I'm not going to challenge the government. I'm not going to do ABC. Look, the government will get away with murder. The point I'm trying to say, as a student in the University of Ibadan, we did a lot of protests. In fact, if you go and read the National Youth Service Corps, the first draft that was made, and what emerged finally as a draft, it was because of the amount of protests against Gawan, that Gawan even had to come to University of Ibadan. And we talked about it, and he assured that there will be some changes. So the youths of today, they have everything available at their fingertips to make a change if they want to. But whether they are prepared to do that is another thing. But there is no other way. If they are waiting for a systematic saying that somebody, no, look, nobody prays for a coup because military intervention brought us in so many ways, destroyed the trajectory of Nigeria's development. And I do not see it changing, not with the set of military officers that we have today anyway. So the younger generation must begin to figure out, if you left school so many years ago and you are not employed and you see people fighting for a cause for you and you are not involved, then that's a problem. But again, maybe that's too radical a position. One way or the other, we must, maybe my generation and others would also have to begin to advise that we reform our school system and ensure that the teachers that teach are also inspirational. That's why I've been advocating, talking to people sometimes when I go to some states. I ask the governors, listen, you cannot manage all the schools you have. Among those schools you have are voluntary educational institutions that we took many years ago. Return it back to the owners. Let's see whether it will help, because they really
religious institutions.
Yes, religious institutions. Let's see whether it would actually. So you have a little to manage, and they also will be able to help you manage all these other institutions. But the truth of the matter is that we all must begin to think seriously on how to find a solution to the current problem. If we leave it alone to government, we are going to be in trouble, because the government itself is not showing enough capacity and will to be able to provide solution to all these issues. And the media that should be taking our concerns sometimes are distracted with so many of these issues.
And I see, just to say to the participants, I'm going to take questions, but please use the Q&A tab to write your questions, and I will give full attribution to the person, who poses that question, and my guest will have an opportunity to address them. The Q&A tab, not the chat tab. It will be difficult for me to scroll through the different chats to pick out the question. Ambassador Keshi, I see an almost deliberate effort not to mention the big elephant in the room, which is China. So the changing world order, the exit of the West, may mean an opportunity for China to play a more dominant role on the continent. What results from that is what we're beginning to see now, a bit of a debt trap, where many governments have signed all kinds of loans with the Chinese government that has locked us into a bit of a trap. How do you see Africa's relationship with China, what we've seen, how it's evolving, and what it may look like in the future? And in your view, how should we be engaging with China and whomever else emerges to plug the gap that I think the West might create?
Patrick, China today is a phenomenon on its own. It is the manufacturing capital of the world. It has virtually overtaken the United States in almost all indices of development, particularly production. There was a time I used to argue that when the United States sent its envoys to Africa to caution us against China and the debt trap that you spoke of, my reaction has always been that, look, if America wants us to abandon China, America should put the same amount of money, 80 billion on the table for us to borrow and do something in Africa. Patrick, the problem is not that the Chinese have done bad in giving us money giving us some fund to borrow with. The problem is, it's like when you go to the bank to borrow. Let's be frank with ourselves. If you go to the bank to borrow money to build a factory, and you take that money, you go and build a hotel, or you go and build you go and buy cars, and at the end of the day, you cannot pay back. Are you going to blame the Chinese? Of course, no. Number one. Number two, at the time you were going to borrow that money, did you do enough homework? You want to build a shipyard or, a seaport. did you do enough homework to ensure whether that seaport has the capacity to generate enough funds to be able to repay back the Chinese? You want to build an airport, it's like what's going on in Nigeria today. Every state is building an airport, borrowing money to build an airport where planes are not going to. So you are going to owe the bank. It's similar to that. For me, the Chinese have not done anything wrong by saying, I'm putting 80 billion on the table for you Africans. If you have the capacity, a country like Nigeria, if we can manage ourselves very well, I'm sure we have the capacity to borrow from the Chinese and pay back if we organize ourselves, very well. Obviously, because of, number one, our population, and the fact that, look, this is a country that has the capacity to take loans, and if properly managed, I believe that we can pay back. Africa's inability to pay back has nothing to do with the generosity of the Chinese. I think we need to establish that. The Chinese have done us a favor. It is now left to us when we are going to these negotiations. Can we, for goodness sake, do our homework properly? Patrick, I don't know whether you've ever gone to the bank to borrow money, but I have had to approve, loans for when I was in UBA. And I see exactly the amount of work the boys do to ensure that the guy borrowing money has the capacity and ability to pay back those loans. Those are the kind of thing I want to see Africans do. If we take money for production, I can understand. If we take money to build seaports, I can understand. If we take money to expand our airports, I can understand. But make sure that you also ensure that you are able to recoup these resources and pay back
exactly
the Chinese. If you do not do that, you don't begin to blame the man who's been generous to you, that he was stupid to have given you assistance.
Exactly. Let me take some questions from our participants. Yes. There's one from Tunde Arogumati. He says, without appropriate representation at the level of ambassador, consul general, high commissioner across the globe, how can Nigeria expect to progress on any form of national interest propagation and position herself in the emerging new world order? And I'm sure this is an issue that you discuss in the Association of Career Diplomats.
Not having an ambassador outside, in our mission, tragic as it is, it's not as bad as, not growing the economy at home at the end of the day. Because you see, what happens when the ambassador is off, it's not in its mission, is that the most senior officer, and invariably a very top senior officer, takes charge of the ministry. The only problem is that officer who acts as the charge d'affaires do not have the reach that the ambassador has. I give you an example of what will happen to us in the next Saturday in Rome. Now, ambassadors are seated based on the dates, on seniority, based on the date of your presentation of credentials. So no matter the seniority of a man covering Rome today, even if in the past the Nigerian ambassador was number 2, number 3, and is not there today, the current gentleman who is for the ambassador as a charge d'affaires will be thrown far away to the back to say with officers, nowhere near the front of where some very, very small countries, with all respect, I shouldn't be using those small, for every country, those small countries will be sitting in front, and a big country like Nigeria is far, far thrown to the back because that it has no ambassador. But look, that is just one of the problems, and there's no way you can properly, defend this. There'll be so many excuses given for our inability to appoint ambassadors, from lack of finance to reforming and so on. The issue of finance is that since I joined the ministry and retired, we've always had this problem of finance, simply because the Ministry of Finance and some government officials refuse to understand the importance and the contribution of foreign policy to Nigeria's development. And so they started the Ministry of Funds. It was only, I think, during Ngozi's time that some solution was found to the issue. But as soon as it left, the Minister of Finance and co went back to their bad ways of depriving the Ministry of Funds. So, but it's not going to, look, it will just affect our ability to operate, but it will not affect our ability to do some of the things we want to do at home.
I have another question from Temitope Adebayo, and he says, do you think the radical approach by youth to get what they want from their leaders could lead to a peaceful outcome in the light of an irresponsible government that does not bat an eyelid to kill and maim? Does violence lead to peace? So essentially, we're encouraging the youth to go out there and demand, but that could lead to violence. How do you respond to that?
Look, there one thing I would say with regard to our leaders. They are not of the same breed like Netanyahu. So there's a limit to which they themselves will accept killing youths in this country. But whether we like it or not, the Nigerian situation will not change if we, the people, we the people, do not begin to fashion out how to address the current situation where we have left the government to operate as if we don't exist. You know, the latest, for example, I saw a cartoon, a very interesting cartoon, that those who have promised you lights are now going to buy solar. So it tells you you're on your own.
And that's the announcement by the Aso Rock, the presidential villa in Nigeria.
Exactly.
That
so it lets you on
the
your
grid
own.
to move to solar.
Good.
Yeah.
In another country, look, whether it will succeed or not, today in the United States, almost all cities are demonstrating against President Trump. If you call out people here, because our leaders have divided us, they go around, they mobilize their tribal leaders, they mobilize the emirs, they mobilize the beasts, they mobilize the pastors and say no. Or they say to one part of the country, don't get involved. So our leaders have perfected a way of dividing us, and in dividing us, they continue to get away with murder, whether we like to admit it or not. That is the honest truth about this country. You know, sometimes you look at this country so well endowed. Look, to tell you that there is still some hope, take a look, for example, at the entertainment industry, Patrick. Not one single government penny is in that sector. But look at how far they've gone. Not one single government penny is in that sector. But look at what those guys have done. I don't know where somebody was pointing out that Boma Boy, there was a video going around, Boma Boy, a boy from Port Harcourt, is playing in a 60,000
capacity
arena. Capacity. 60,000 capacity. And when Boma Boy is out there, he's representing Nigeria or Davido or the rest of the beautiful artists. So, but what I'm trying to emphasize, not one single penny of government is in that industry. Never mind that government claims credit for it today. So this is where Nigerian youth should begin to think seriously about the future. Those of them in ICT that are doing well should do more. But government should be the enabler to create the atmosphere for that to grow. And that includes just being transparent in everything. That includes good governance. That includes investing massively. I keep using the word investing massively in education, in health, in agriculture, because agriculture will form a fulcrum for our industrialization. And it is time Africa begins to industrialize and trade among itself. Certainly, when we do that, we'll become a credible player, you know, within the emerging new global situation.
Exactly. I have a question from Deirdre Lapin. Deirdre lives in DC, but has done a lot of extensive work in the Niger Delta. I'm aware of the work she did on developing the action plan on Niger Delta a few years ago. So Deirdre's question is, how can the Braced Commission become a force for developmental change in the Niger Delta? And I want to tag on the back of that. What are some of the challenges that the Braced Commission has faced in driving the development blueprint? I'm aware that you put together. I was kind of tangentially involved with that. So what are some of the challenges with implementing that development plan and developing the Niger Delta region?
The Niger Delta, for me, I have really learned a lot, and it informs some of the things I say about governance in this country. And I say this with sadness. Number one is that successive leaders, going far from the past, do not. But by the way, let me explain that the Braced Commission was an idea of the private sector, of people from the South-South extraction, most of them living in Lagos. And of course, the governors, I think the second generation of governors, the Imokes and so, that came up with the idea of trying to see how they can create an economic cooperation of the 6 states, partly to integrate the economy and partly to ensure that they are globally competitive. But unfortunately, successive leaders, I'm not too sure, have actually spent time, despite all efforts, to understand what it means to create economic cooperation and integration and the process that it has to go through. That's number one. Number two is the fact that politics has been an hindering factor, in the development of the Braced Commission. Anytime the Braced Commission seems to be doing well, after the governors have met 1, 2, 3, and there's optimism in the air, something comes and knocks everything off the radar, and you are back to, square one. In the process of 2015, you had Amechi creating its own problem. Much later, we had a chairman that for 6 years was afraid of calling a meeting because of one other governor. And right now that we seem to be doing reasonably well, you now have an emergency in one of our key states, in Rivers State. So it becomes very challenging. But look, I'll say this, which is a general statement. We in Nigeria need to understand that there is more than one government in the country, and that everything do not start and begin and ends with the federal government, and that the states have enormous amount of resources. And if we spend more time challenging the federal government, talking about the federal government, and we are not focusing on what's happening in the states, we are not doing ourselves, well. I make the point all the time that if the states do not grow, Nigeria will not be a developed country, simply because the states control so many things. They are responsible for primary education, to a large extent secondary education. They are responsible for agriculture. So if they do not pay attention, if the states do not develop all this, the federal government can do some magic in terms of macroeconomic indices and tell us that we are doing reasonably well. But if the states do not grow as they should grow, the Federation of Nigeria will continue to experience challenges.
I have a question from Professor Richard Joseph, and he says is
it the same Richard Joseph that we all know?
Yes, who has been a guest on this show and always graciously joins each of our conversations.
Professor Richard, my greetings if you are hearing me.
He can definitely hear you.
I haven't seen him for a long time.
Fantastic. So his question is, there's a profound political and government crisis in the United States, including its attitudes and actions regarding Africa. what should be the response from African leaders to, to this situation that is still evolving, still emerging, but is real?
Oh, look, it's real. I think it was last week that the New York Times published an article about the reform of the State Department, for example, and at the same time, they said they were going to eliminate the African Bureau, And I think this morning or yesterday, there are indications that they've actually started implementing that document that they denied did not exist in the first place. Look, there is no other answer to, quote and unquote, to the disrespect being paid to Africa than for Africa to grow up. Again, it goes back to the fact of what we've been saying. Africa needs to take up the challenge of today and convince the world that it wants to be a responsible partner in almost all phases of development. There's no other answer to it. And again, it goes back to what I've been saying. So it must industrialize, it must grow its economy, it must educate its people, it must ensure peace and security in the continent, and it must trade within itself. If it can do all this, I think the United States will respect Africa. But as it is today, when a whole government will completely ignore, just take away the whole of African department as if it does, as if Africa doesn't exist, and they hand it over to a gentleman they call a special advisor working within the office of the Director of National Security. The impression I get from what I'm hearing, is that this might just be a small people in one small room managing in cubicle, just managing a whole of Africa. That is the level of insult we have brought upon ourselves for refusing to grow up in the last 60 to 70 years.
Exactly. And if that's the case, isn't this some kind of a blessing in disguise? So I know there's a lot of talk about, the West has exited, they've cut back on aid, Africa, woe be us, we're going to die. Isn't this like the kind of shock that many scholars have talked about, that one needs to just wake up from this slumber and deal with the issues? So we talk about the vacuum in political leadership in Africa. Isn't it just that we have both intellectual and moral bankruptcy? We don't have any philosophical positions like the leaders of the first generation Africans. I mean, the independence and post-independence Africans. Isn't it that there's nothing? China had to dig deep after they failed experiment with Chairman Mao. The experiment, Deng Xiaoping led them on an experiment that then led to where China is today. Isn't that the kind of conversation we should be having on the continent today versus this, we're all about to die because America has decided to relegate us to where we've always placed ourselves? What's your point?
Absolutely, Patrick. I can't say it better than you've put it. But unfortunately, or let me not use the word unfortunately, I want to hope that somewhere in this part of the world, there are leaders who are actually thinking that way. And that these leaders are preparing to launch a new philosophy that will really help Africa. Because if they don't do that, if they continue the way they've been going, pretending that they don't care about the rest of the world, they don't care whatever happens to their citizens and just do what they want to do. Look, Patrick, some 20 years from now, if we're all still alive, we come back and we'll be having this same conversation that we've been having for years. That's the honest truth. You said it all. There's something more to add to it. Sometimes sometimes I just wonder exactly where do we start from? And I end up again by saying, look, I can only hope that our leaders will wake up and see what's going on today as a challenge and decide to say, look, let's take up this challenge. But the other excuse could also be that they are so confronted with so many problems, which, by the way, they created themselves, that they leave away the opportunity to sit down and think is probably almost non-exist. It doesn't exist. So they just go from, day to day, sign one document, somebody brings this proposal, you sign. Nobody asks a question about implementation of those things. Look, our problem is not policy. For someone who has served as permanent secretary to the cabinet, taking policy documents to the cabinet for approval, I'll tell you for sure, our problem is not policy. Yes, there could be problem, particularly I always quarrel with the Minister of Works and Housing, and they are still doing the same thing today. They bring you so many road developments, all of them costing billions and billions. They are not telling you where the money is coming from. They are still doing it today. But the point is that if our leaders could just begin to say, we need to change direction. The trajectory we are following will lead us to nowhere. The world is changing. There are opportunities we can capitalize upon. How do we approach this? In the case of a number of countries like Nigeria, a lot more will have to be done at the governmental level. The bureaucracy is overblown. It does not look like Nigeria itself. It does not look like Nigeria. And in a country where you do not have unity and unity of purpose, how do you mobilize the people to greatness? You can't. Because if you are talking of greatness and they are not involved, they simply ignore you and do whatever they want to do. And that's part of the situation we find in here.
Let me ask a question, and just reflect on this a bit. You've operated at very, very senior levels, both in public and private sector, both at the national and at the very local level. We talk about these leaders doing what seems like common sense to the rest of us, just driving implementation, taking the right decisions, doing simple things well. What, in your view, is the problem? This cannot be an ununderstandable, incomprehensible problem. What is the problem? Why is it difficult for people who've been tasked with solving basic problems? What is difficult with them doing those basic things? National, private sector, public sector, micro, what's the challenge?
In my view, the private sector has shown far more leadership in managing their affairs and ensuring that there is proper execution from policy to execution than the public sector has done. And I think part of the problem, look, there was a time I used to say to people, if you ask me, for example, about the presidents that I work closely with, and even before then, even as a young officer in Lagos, I remember that from 1982 to 84, I think, I was always in Dodam Barracks every week, covering one meeting on that Shagari and things like that. And I saw the president at work. If you ask me about the presidents, one thing I would I would say is that listening to them, they seem to mean well for the country. They seem to understand what they think where they think the country should be going. And in the cabinet meetings and some of their pronouncements, they seem to understand what needs to be done. And I think that the problem is that thereafter, decisions are taken, promises are made, because some of these policies probably has not been properly made. I was giving you an example of the Ministry of Works that will bring all sorts of projects. And after every council meeting, it will be announced that XY road has been allocated so much, but the truth of the matter is there's no money for it, for any of those roads. But council has approved it, hoping that this is why if you go and do a study you will find out that the roads that successive presidents in the past have built, we are rebuilding them today. Not because they were, they were announced, but they were not built. In fact, I saw somebody asking questions, itemizing about 6 or 7 items of what the Tinubu administration promised. And the question is, we have not heard any more about this. So these things are, are there. So it has to do more like some decisions are taken. There's a problem of implementation. And when you begin to think of problem of implementation, it now boils again down to the capacity and capability of the bureaucracy to execute this. And the bureaucracy itself, particularly in the key ministries that have so much money, their attention is not properly executing this project, but corruption steps in. And once corruption steps in, I'm sure that their attention is completely, and because we do not make people to pay for some of these things, nobody asks questions. Nobody asks questions on all these things. Next year, you represent the same, you give one reason or the other for failure or something like that, and everybody's like, oh, okay, let's get it done again. So we probably need to overhaul the whole system and ensure that once a decision is taken, implementation also, people pay attention to implementation of these, policies. Number two, I also think with particular reference to Nigeria, we also need to begin to look at the people we appoint to political offices and as heads of agencies. If you go out, Patrick, I don't know what part of the world you are today, but if you are in Nigeria, take a look, just go around any of the streets and ask people to name Buhari's ministers and what they did. You'll be shocked that most of them can't even remember their names. There are some ministers in today's administration that we have never heard their voices. They've never said anything. Particularly, I always complain about the Minister of Defense. And why I complain about the Minister of Defense is that it's the failure of those charged with the capacity